All right, salute world. Welcome to the Cellf Code Podcast. I am the one and only master myself here with my brother. I'll get into his name later. For everyone tuning in online, if you haven't already, check out the Cellf Code Collective. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and TuneIn. Video episodes are also available on YouTube. So first and foremost, I'm an entertainer. Don't take anything that I say seriously. That goes for me and my guests. Number two, the show is for adults only. Number three, this is a sacred space. I expect it to be treated with respect, honor, and integrity. And for number four, for anyone who speaks on the show, including my brother here, I expect it to be treated with respect. Oh, my bad. Remember, you are free to express every thought, brother. And every thought and emotion that comes your way, it's all about you. It's your opportunity to be heard by the world. Today's episode features my brother in arms, my IMC Nation brother, Sumedh. Today, brother, I'm speaking to the part of you that looks in the mirror when no one else is around. Okay, when it's just you versus you, this is the part of you where you're gonna find your true self. Through this episode, the world's gonna get to know you better. We're gonna find out what makes you unique, how you inspire the world, and how you perceive yourself ultimately. My brother, welcome to the motherfucking show, man. How you feeling today?
Feeling great, man. Thanks for having me on. It's lit.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to have you here, man. You know what I'm saying? It's been how long ago did we set that up? About a week ago?
Yeah, about a week ago.
Yeah, hell yeah,
Sure.
hell yeah. Reminds me of Bobby Smurder.
About a week ago. Yeah, just thinking that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Hell yeah, man. So what's going on, brother? How you feeling? I know you just said you're it's what 6 a.m. and you're in your
Yeah.
city, your town. You're in India, correct?
Yeah, man.
And
Yeah, man.
what's that like?
Man, it's amazing. I've been here for more than a year now, and it's just awesome being back here because it's the place that I most know as my motherland, and I came here to connect with my roots. And it's been a really important journey for me to learn more about my culture because a lot of the years of my life I grew up abroad and in different countries like Switzerland, Thailand.
Wow.
I was in the US for 4 years in college.
Wow.
Then I went and did a master's in the UK, and now I'm finally back here. It's been that hero's journey, and
yeah,
I've come back with the elixir of life. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir. Man, that's amazing, brother. I have a personal theory of people that travel or that have different experiences in different countries. My theory is just that people that are able to go to different places, different countries, they tap into the culture of that place, and then they soak that up and they kind of absorb that as a part of their beingness, and so that makes that person a lot more like well-rounded and easier to talk to because they have a different understanding of life, and they have a different interpretation of different cultures. So man, that's dope, man. What's been your favorite place to travel? I mean, maybe your homeland, but other than that.
Man, I really like a lot of different places. Thailand was particularly interesting. Bangkok City, it's like really cool because there's little areas and little pockets of the neighborhood that are quite interesting. Hangover 3 was shooting there when I was there, and
Wow.
it was quite wild. I saw that on the streets. That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
I visited Vegas. Last year. That was pretty lit. That was actually a big culture shock for me, but
Really?
I felt like that trip was really needed. I decided that very last minute. It was very spontaneous. I was actually going to see what the RSD people were doing, like in the World Summit. So I went over there, and yeah, it was an interesting experience. Got to meet a lot of different people, and a few of those people I know to this day, and we collaborate and stuff. So it's quite cool. That was quite cool.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's what's up, man. Wow. That's sounds like a life experience already right there. That's powerful, man. Hell yeah. What brother, you have a I want to say a character that you call scripts. Can you talk about that character and give me more details as to what that is exactly?
Yeah, man. So I've always been fascinated with the theater and acting in different plays. That's where my light really started to shine.
Yeah.
That was the first time that I actually felt like I was in the flow state, was on stage,
Mm.
and I could just become anybody. I became a shape-shifting monk in a sense,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
became a
Yeah.
shapeshifter.
Yeah.
And like the name scripts, it first initially came from Sanskrit, which is it's like the Latin of India in a sense. And my first initial rap name was Sanskrits. And then I changed it. I cut the san off and it was just scripts. And then I don't know, scripts kind of had a catchy ring to it. I used to go
Yeah.
by MC Scripts in like high school. Then I cut
Nice.
the MC off and, dropped the
Nice.
old school act and kind of,
Yeah.
started to make much more mainstream music. And so,
Mm.
hip hop and rapping, freestyle rap just has always been, something that got me into the flow. And
Wow.
so that's always inspired me. And that Scripps character, it's like my alter ego in a sense.
Mm. Yeah. 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 I get that 100%.
I really, man, admire that part of me because it's like a freer yet darker and more resonant part of me. It's like a harmonic part of me.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes complete sense right there. That's huge. Can you talk about the flow state? That's actually one of my questions. How do you personally describe flow? Because I know you have
Yeah.
your own interpretation of it, and but for people that have never heard it before, I mean, even for myself, I have a certain interpretation of it, but I'm curious to know
Yeah.
what that is for you because you're a coach in that. You're the entrepreneur of flow state, right?
Right. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
the way I describe the flow state is a state where you feel your best and perform your best. And essentially, it's the space where time stops for you, nothing else matters, and you're so focused on the task at hand, and
Mm,
you become almost like a laser beam. And it's also because you're enjoying what you're doing that you
mm,
become fully absorbed in the moment.
mm,
It could be synonymous with presence for people who want to understand it. However, there's macro flow and micro flow. So micro flow is more like mindfulness,
mm, mm,
and day to day just being able to be present, like a deep conversation like we're having. But
yeah.
then macro flow is like a life-changing experience, right? Like
Mm,
moving to a new country or something like that,
mm,
right? So
right.
there's elements of like peak experience that are also part of the flow state, but it's the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by it. I'm obsessed by it. It's
Yeah.
what my calling is. So,
Mm,
I'm just grateful and blessed to be able to do that and serve people in
yeah.
that way to help them get into the flow. Yeah.
Mm, very cool. Hell yeah. What brought you to that? What brought you to being in the flow state and whatnot? Because that's it's a powerful interpretation of life. I would assume. Um, like I said, you have your own process of understanding and utilizing that. Breaking down the micro and macro. I mean, I would have never known had you not said those words right now. So
Yeah.
yeah. How did you come across that? What was what led up to that basically?
Right. So when I was in college, I decided to reinvent myself. I was a very shy kid in high school. I had a lot of friends. We used to kind of have, you know, gaming parties, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
where I connected with a lot of people, but I was horrible at, connecting with women and just making friends and things like that. I had quite some close friends that I would call close friends, but I never really got out of my shell in a sense. College was a time where I was like, man, this is my chance at a performance art piece. Like I'm going to make this entire college experience an experiment and go into this like trying on different identities, trying to, embody different characters. And I really got interested in theater sports at that time as well.
Mm,
And I came across the flow state, as I said, on stage first, and then also through hip hop, where you're like, an artist has good flow
mm,
in a sense. It's like good rhythm.
yeah.
And I never came across the idea before I finally went to my master's when I decided, man, I was always interested in the mind and psychology,
Mm-hmm.
but I started to look into it and it was just very dark. everything about OCD, schizophrenia. There were all these disorders rather than the order.
Yeah. Right.
And so I wanted to shine the light on the other side and look into positive psychology. And I was looking at all these different courses around the world, right? In different places. And, you know, I came across this course in London where it was combining coaching psychology with applied positive psychology. And so I was like, man, that's such an interesting, you know, field and line of work. Because I've always considered myself to help people and like help my friends throughout college and, you know, give advice, but never have I actually considered being a coach. You know, it's like, it was quite a interesting experience to be able to, you know, go into that. And so I discovered the flow state when I was in my master's program really heavily and solidly. Of course, you know, reading the book Flow by Csikszentmihalyi, you know, this Hungarian psychologist who came up with this concept. And basically what he said is like, you know, it's this state of optimal consciousness, right? The state of optimal performance. So it fascinated me because I was always interested in creativity, right? And when you have more creativity, you create more flow, and more flow creates more creativity. It's this fun cycle. It's one of the flow triggers.
Nice.
And, you know, I worked with my business coach, Joe Nicasio, for 2 years or so. I worked with him extensively and really forming my business model to create a program for people to get into the flow state. And I was like looking at all these different areas of what I'm interested in, and flow was kind of the thing that integrated all of them together. Wow. And I was like, man, like, I know that like, as soon as that happened, like, I knew that was my calling. I knew that was my purpose, to help people with that. Because I've done it throughout my life, you know. I was hyper creative as a kid. I published books, like self-published books, when I was like 11 and 12, you know, like, and I was constantly doodling things and, you know, doing all sorts, anything creative, you name it, I did it, right? So I was really in my right brain. And that's also why I feel like I was a B grade student, you know, growing up. But then once I got to my master's, I started to excel at this thing because I was like, this is my purpose. This is my passion, you know, and I got really good grades and stuff. And I was like, man, this is interesting. Like, I've never actually, you know, had that experience of actually being good at something. And then, you know, I passed with a merit in my master's program. So I was like, man, that was a cool experience, you know. And then, of course, after that, you know, creating the program with Joe and just getting a business coach is highly recommended, I feel, for anybody who feels like, you know, coaches need coaches. You know, it's like, you know, probably Michael Jordan, he has probably 17 coaches in itself, you know, just like helping him with everything. So, you know, you got to have a range of mentors that really speak to you and help you. And also, you know, of course, the different mentors that we share, you know, AZD, as well as, you know, I also work with Vince, and, you know, I also do a lot of different programs all the time. I constantly feel like I need to grow. Like, that's just something that, like, every single day I need to be a better person. And I'm not the same person that I was yesterday. Like, that's what I can firmly say. So it's about that refinement, you know what I mean? A flow state kind of brought everything together for me.
Wow, man, that was a lot. So many different ways I can go with that. That's inspiring. You know, every time I see you on Instagram, bro, you know, you're producing content. It's one content after another, content piece after another, and that's amazing to see. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a testament to your character, but it's also a testament to the work that you've done. I mean, you said you spent two and a half years or 2 years, you know, studying with that coach alone, and then, you know, Lord knows what other histories you have in terms of studying, you know. So there's no end to that. That's powerful in itself, because the character that you are now is unveiling, you know, but your character is made by, you know, the struggles that you went through, you know, on the way to becoming who you are now. So that's powerful, man. What do you know about your personal, I call it the self code, but what do you know about your personal, like, natal chart and everything? Because that's what I'm interested in. Every time you're saying something now, it's sparking another idea in me. It's like, okay, maybe that's his aspect, or this, that, and the other. That's how I personally understand people. That's kind of the reason why I started the Cellf Code in a sense, is because I understood the value of understanding yourself. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to astrology or understanding your personal chart, you know, what is it that you know about that so far?
I think I have it on here actually, so let me just pull it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. My man prepared. Yes, sir.
All right, so my sun sign is Scorpio, 7th house.
Yes, sir. Wow. Okay, 7th house.
Ascendant Aries, 1st house.
Mm.
Moon Pisces, 11th house.
Mm.
Mercury Scorpio, 7th house.
Wow.
Venus Libra, 6th house. Mars Scorpio,
Nice.
7th house. Jupiter Libra, 7th house. 7th house. Wow.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wow.
Saturn Aquarius, 11th house. Uranus Capricorn, 9th house. Neptune Capricorn, 9th house. Pluto Scorpio, 8th house.
Nice. So you've done your research. You've done your research in that respect, right? Like in terms of your personal natal chart, or how much are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I mean, I did a natal chart reading a while back.
Nice.
I don't know too much about it, but I am very fascinated with it. I think every single map that we get, you know, is so interesting. Like I have someone in my Telegram group, the Flow Jedis. I have this girl who's doing something called human design. And it's basically like combining the chakras with astrology, the Tai Ching, and everything together, you know? And so it's really cool. It's like, you know, meeting more innovative people and learning from all these maps. You know, being in hip hop, you know, I've always had this remix or sampling effect. Even, you know, Bruce Lee, you know, like this is his daughter that wrote this book. I'm reading it now, but like, you know, he had this concept of, you know, integration and like that whole concept of Jeet Kune Do of like bringing pieces together, you know, trying out these different styles.
100%. Yeah, that's huge, bro.
Yeah, that's my experience with life too, man. It's just like bringing everything together and finding it, your own uniqueness in it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. I would say you're right on code in terms of the Cellf Code. you're right on code in terms of bringing all of that stuff together, because that's what essentially I've done. You know, I think that's what we're all, you know, here to do, is to bring the different elements that were a part of us when we were growing up. You know, because we see, you know, okay, I went through this and not everybody went through that. You know, or I personally perceived this situation this way, and because of that, it helped me to get through, you know, to the other side of that situation or what have you. So, you know, and then combining, like you said, the different elements. So understanding the chakras, understanding your astrological placements, understanding, you know, just your personal perspective, man, that can change everything, you know. And man, that's powerful to tap into, man. That's dope. You know, what interests me is in particular, more so lately, I've just been diving into myself and understanding myself. And I think, honestly, I think astrology is the key to damn near everything when it comes to knowing about yourself, because, you know, when we're born, you know, the stars are basically aligned a certain way, and the stars aren't aligned that way ever again. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's part of our inception here. You know, it's part of our creation as we become. I think that is our blueprint. You know, and like you said, it's like a map to yourself. So that's deep, man. That's what aspects of that are you familiar with though?
Well, you know, the whole idea of just me being a Scorpio, which is a water sign, and then, you know, the flow state being connected to the water, you know.
Right.
Nice. I once, man, in 2017, I met this shaman woman. I went on like a trip and she told me my totem animal was a dolphin.
Nice.
And then I started to do lots of research on the dolphin, and, you know, I found that they're sonar or whatever they use to communicate. Yeah. Basically, that's at 8 hertz range per second, which is the same as the flow state.
Wow.
Hertz. Wow. And I was like, wow, like you know, that was a synchronicity that just blew my mind. And, you know, I love little moments like that, because you can be like, yup, check, you know, that's my calling. Got it.
Yes, sir. Hell yeah. Yeah, very nice, man. Very nice. That's man, it's amazing, bro. Every time I connect with somebody, I see the elements of myself in that either the conversation or the aspects of or that you have. So, a dolphin was my favorite animal growing up. That was a favorite animal to watch on TV, to study, to just dive into a dolphin, like literally. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
I remember you brought that up online, and I was just like, oh shit, that's just crazy. But yeah, that is so true, man. That's powerful that it lined up with your own personal process that you're on right now. I think that's the beauty of the process that we're all on. Can you talk about the warrior monk process, brother? Like, talk about the aspect of that development of yourself so far, because like you said, you just got done taking your cold shower and having that experience, and you already beasted out, or you're getting ready to after this.
I beasted out a little bit. I'm gonna do some more.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Finish up.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, man, it's been amazing because it's another aspect of tapping into my flow, and I hadn't really experienced it in that way before. I've done a little bit of, working out here and there, lifting weights, kind of on and off. Right. But once that consistency kicked in, being in Lions Den, like, man, like everything starts to shift after that,
yes, sir. Absolutely.
Everything starts to shift. So I think finding that individual process and fine tuning it towards my own intuition and being able to add elements of flow state into it. I love ecstatic dance, for instance, and like breath work, and combining that into my morning routine and rituals has been very amazing because it's just kicks me off. The start of the day, it's like rocket fuel. Yeah. And creativity starts to spiral from there. So, throughout the day, I have client calls, maybe I'll record some music, I'll do a video piece of content. Mm-hmm. And as I'm doing this, I'm just in that pocket, I'm in that flow state, in that zone, constantly creating. Yeah. And by the end of the day, you just kind of allow yourself to go into that recovery phase and just chill. So it's like, it's a biological cycle, the flow state takes us through. Wow. And once you learn that cycle, it's like, it's everything, man. It's like the Ouroboros eating its own tail, it's the life cycle, it's the condensation cycle. Life is all about cycles, man. And growth happens in a spiral. So when you think that you're like at level 1 again and you feel stuck, that's actually not true, because you're just at a different level of the spiral. And it might be level 33, but everything has been just blank slated, and it feels like you're starting again, but you're starting from experience. And I think people need to acknowledge that, but still keep that beginner or that Shoshin mindset,
Yeah. Nice. Hell yeah. What so how do you know when you're in the flow state? You're talking about being in that flow state. Yeah. How do you know for sure that's what it is? If somebody, wants to tap into their own flow state, how would they know?
Right. So there are 4 things that you can check off. So selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, and richness. Richness meaning not wealth, but richness of the environment. So is it stimulating? So it's kind of a paradox, man, because if you're like, am I in flow now? You're not in flow, right? You're still thinking about being in flow. Nice. And being in flow is where you let go, right? It's this process of struggle, release, flow, and then recovery. So you need that little bit of that hustle to kick it off. It's like starting the engine. It's like the anxiety that you need a little bit, right, to push past it, and then you let go. Then you surrender experiment, right? And you kind of go into that release, and then you start flowing, and when you're flowing, one way I notice is like, man, is it that time already? Like time flies by, or it slows down. It just distorts completely. So that's one check that you can make if you're in the flow state. But I also feel that for people who really want to get into the flow state, to set the intention. To set the intention, I'm going to get into flow in this activity. Just stating that, or just affirming that with a clap or some kind of anchor can really help you out. And it does help to do that, because it creates the container for you to do your thing.
Yeah. So what takes place in the process of you getting into flow? I mean, I'm sure it's unique for everybody, but what you know, what actual physical things will happen when you know you're just in flow. I mean, because I, you know, when I say that I'm tapped in or in the flow, you know, I have a certain amount of energy that's kind of inspired. I'm in that inspired mood to where I can speak, I can create videos, I can create content, like you said. I can, you know, tap into anybody that's willing to receive the knowledge and anything like that. But for somebody that isn't familiar with it at all, you know, how will they know for sure? Like, okay, this is happening. Is it something that is happening on the outside, or is it internal?
Yeah, it's tough to really fine tune that. There are different elements of it, like, you know, concentration, and there are certain preconditions to the flow state, right? Like, for instance, deep embodiment would be one of the flow triggers. However, what you can do is,
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Deep embodiment.
So it's like being fully into the body, you know, feeling it fully in a sense, rather than, let's say, being in your head and being all up in the mind, right? Like deep embodiment would be like, let's say that you're doing some kind of movement, right? Let's say you're beasting out. Well, you're not really in your mind anymore as you're beasting out, right? You're fully in the moment. You're in the flow.
Right.
So that's deep embodiment. It's like you're sweating, you're feeling it, you're in the moment. And it's that place of like discipline and surrender. It's like a sweet spot. You got to find your sweet spot. I tell people, you got to find your strengths and optimize those strengths to make the task more interesting. And if people want, they could look up the VIA strengths quiz. It's a quick questionnaire they could do to find their top strength and then be able to use it in whatever you're doing. That optimizes your flow exponentially, man. Like mine used to be creativity, but as I started coaching more clients and things like that, it became perspective. And that's been like one of my really important words for me too. And, you know, just going through, you know, the whole process, you know, doing 2 beast camps and just like, you know, learning from the process and allowing myself to really fine tune this character, right? This vessel, in a profound way, it starts to shift everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk more about that, man. Go into that. What have you seen shifted so far?
Yeah, I remember in I think in the last October Beast Camp, AZD was particularly speaking about me and my idea of flow state. I remember at one point. And it was so interesting where he was talking about, you know, having these different words that become your sense of your elements, right? And working with those words has been really profound because I've been able to put on those goggles and like see the world in that way.
Nice. Yes, sir.
And because of that, I've also been able to truly embody my character more and really feel it. Earlier, I was like, I'm kind of certain, I'm still hesitant, I'm 50-50 into the character. But once I got the structure for that, I started to really, you know, show up differently.
Wow.
And I think that it's also important for me to be able to demonstrate that into the world. You know, growing up from a Bengali culture, we're taught to be very, very modest and humble, you know, and not really share your work or put it out there in people's faces and things like that. So really being able to break out of the cultural conditioning that I was raised in as well. You know, it's been a huge aspect of my transformation.
100%.
So it's different elements, man. It's like, it's been an ongoing journey, but just being able to also have a brotherhood, like that's incredible too. Like seeing other guys do it and like crushing it. You're like, man, I didn't beast out today. What the heck, you know, you need to get on it. So that's accountability. So
100%. That accountability is everything, man. That's what people are missing, you know. I tap into, you know, I would call the frequency of David Goggins on a regular basis. And one thing that he says is, you know, if you're not holding yourself accountable, he's like, I can't look at you. You know, he's like, I can't respect you by any manner because you know, that accountability is essential. You know what I'm saying? And to hold yourself accountable, even when, you know, nobody else is watching. That's when your character is truly being created, I believe. You know.
That's that integrity, man, for sure.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother level of experience when you hold yourself to that level, you know, and then you communicate from that space. You know, that gives you almost an advantage. You know what I'm saying? To look at the world differently because you're looking through your own perspective and your integrity is in check. You've checked off, you know, different things in your throughout your day, and that's powerful in itself, man. So that's so dope. It's dope to have, you know, like when I hear you talk about, you know, the flow state, you have such a rich way of describing it. You know, there seems like so much material, you know, that pairs along with everything that you're talking about. So for somebody that is, you know, trying to stay or to tap into, you know, your flow state or your flow zone, where do they, you know, connect with you on? You have I know you said you had the Telegram group, the Flow Jedi. What else do you have?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel where I post videos daily, and also basically in my coaching program, there's 3 elements and parts of it. So the first month is all about the mind, like perfecting the mind, removing limiting beliefs, removing past trauma through, you know, breath work and release, and all about mindset.
Nice.
The second week is all about body. And then the third month, is all about body. And the last month is all about spirit or integration, like rendering, as I call it. So it's that whole mind, body, spirit elements, right? Of just like bringing these 3 pieces together. Yeah. For people just starting out, I think having the 2 essential books would be Flow by Csikszentmihalyi. At least reading that. Of course, you can't really read a book and then get into flow. I don't think it's essential, but having, you know, some knowledge of it does help. And Stealing Fire, another book by Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheel. And I think it's important for people to explore that genius zone for themselves. You know, what is it that you really love doing? And being able to become a master at it through refinement, through your process, through your craft, and just chipping away at it. Like chipping away at it, but also there's an element of removing the stuff that is not needed anymore as well. It's
for sure.
You know, in Taoism, you call it like the uncarved block, in a sense, that wu. So, you know, really being able to remove all the bullshit conditioning that society has given you is a huge element of that too. You know, a lot of people can access the flow state, but they're still wounded by their past a lot. And so that prevents people from actually accessing that state because they are in this fight or flight mode, right? Of like, oh man, everything's a threat. Everything is danger.
Right.
So if we can get people to, you know, access that rest and digest and get people to relax more in their beingness, it starts to build that alertness as well as that relaxation together. And like I said, it's a let's go energy with a let go energy.
Wow.
And when you can find that with yourself, it's like you build momentum. You create that flow channel. And, you know, it's all about perceived challenge and perceived skills. I say perceived, we talk about perception a lot in this show, I know. So, you know, like you could say challenge and skills, but then what if you find in your mind that, oh, that task is going to be difficult? Well, you're setting a barrier for yourself there, right?
That's right.
It's like your perception is actually stopping the flow. So
absolutely.
So if you have anxiety, you know, what they say is you're challenging yourself a lot, but you're not skilled at handling that anxiety. So you need more skill set to handle and tackle it to get into flow. But if you're bored, then you don't have any challenge. It's too easy. That's why you're bored.
Wow.
Right? Life isn't challenging for you. Everything's comfortable. So when you can have that challenge and that skill, then you get into the flow state.
Wow. That's too deep, man. It's too deep.
Dropping a lot of knowledge tsunamis here.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome, though. You know, to be able to tap into that that level, you know, to go that deep. Anytime, man, it makes sense that your scripts, that character, it makes sense that you're in a flow state. I say that because I understand what the Scorpio, you know, element represents, and that's
Yeah.
very powerful. Like you said, it's the water, water, one of the water signs, one of the water elements, but also on top of that, you know, the Scorpio sign in itself is the fixed sign. Out of all the water signs, it's the one that's stable. It doesn't, you know, move. So you find where you need to be, and then you create that flow from where you're at, and that's powerful, man. That's huge. What's interesting to me though is the Pisces moon.
Yeah.
What do you know
That's
about
the,
that?
I feel like that's my emotional side, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that my Pisces moon is like my yin and my Scorpio is like my yang. So
Wow,
it kind of balances itself out to
for sure.
create that harmony within myself, to be more integrated.
Okay.
And I feel that, you know, the moon rules your emotions, right? Your mood, your feelings,
Yes, sir.
and, you know, it's much more of my empathy as a coach to be able to connect with others.
Nice.
And be able to really feel them, you know, and understand them.
Yeah.
And my Scorpio, you know, that's kind of, sometimes the dark Scorpio side comes in, you know, like the power hungry, the, you know, the manipulation, all that kind of stuff.
Hey,
But then
powerful right there.
but then there's, it is powerful. Yeah, it is definitely powerful. It's a scorpion, right? So it can sting.
Yes, sir.
And the thing is that also there's that real need for the truth and intimacy.
Yeah.
So, like, honestly, being intimate with a person for me is the most frightening thing for me, but also the most thing that I cherish.
Wow.
You know, it's the thing that sets me free the most. So, like, I've noticed at times, you know, the Scorpio likes that privacy. You know, they kind of put up walls and they keep themselves in that barrier.
Absolutely.
But then there's also these different elements of the Scorpio, right? Where you have the dove and, you know, the reptile going into the eagle, going into, you know, the dove, the phoenix, right? So, like, it has this transformative quality.
Yeah.
And
yes,
you know, I love transformation. That could be my middle name, to be honest. So
absolutely.
So that element of like constantly growing, you know, I see that come off in the Scorpio side of me, for sure.
Wow.
And that sex drive too.
Hey, you can't forget that part. You know, that is man, it's powerful because, you know, I think of, I mean, the only person that comes to mind right now is Drake, you know, but what a powerful character, you know what I'm saying, to be modeled after. Well, Trey Songz as well, also Scorpio. You know, those are some of the two most influential, you know, hip hop artists thus far, you know what I'm saying, in the culture as it stands right now until Scripps comes along, you know. And
yeah, man, actually Drake was a big influence for me. In one of my music videos, I have this song called Abundance. It has a very Drake vibe. If you ever hear it, it kind of sounds like I was channeling Drake in a sense in that song.
Wow, really?
So yeah, and yeah, man, I think that Scorpio energy is very powerful. You know, one of my best friends, Ivan, who I have a podcast with, Alejandro.
Yeah.
He is also Scorpio.
Is he really?
So,
wow.
Yeah. So imagine two Scorpios coming together, man. That's potent. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, sir, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you brought up the astrology thing because I haven't really been able to think about it too much, but talking about it with you is giving me kind of a new lens to look at the world now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what about yourself, man? What is your sign and your moon?
Yeah, my sun sign is a Virgo. Sun sign is Virgo, and then my moon sign is Gemini, actually. So it's a powerful combination. And then my rising is actually Sagittarius. So it's that Sagittarius season right now. So you know, I feel the energy every time that one of my aspects are highlighted. I feel that energy. I feel the difference. You know, I feel that aspect of me pick up. More recently, I want to say 3 days ago, we had the Gemini moon. and I felt the compatibility with that as well. Like I said, man, I've just been diving deeper and deeper and deeper into myself, and bro, it's like your own. Let me see. If life is a movie, right? We're all our own characters. We're all our own actors. Your script would be your astrology chart in a sense. You know what I'm saying? That like that. The more that I know about myself, the more that I have to offer people. The more that I am aware of why I'm connecting with certain people. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, the Scorpio aspect. You said you had Pluto in Scorpio. I had the same thing. I know that has to do with the time, the era that we were born in. But then you said something else as well. I think it was Uranus or something. What was your Uranus in? Or it was one of them.
My Uranus is in Capricorn.
Yeah, I have the same. No. Yeah, no, I do have the same. Pretty sure I have the same. You said, oh no, Saturn and Aquarius. That's what you said. Saturn and Aquarius. That is, you said 11th house,
Saturn
right?
Aquarius. Yeah, 11th
Bro,
house.
Those alignments are huge, man. I think honestly, I would be willing to bet that most of IMC Nation has Saturn and Aquarius, honestly, because you know Arash in Aquarius, and you know that energy is what we're all connecting to. You know, right now, especially. We're in the age of Aquarius. There's so many different alignments that are happening, bro. Like it's amazing, bro, when you really come to understand it. But it's so powerful because you, like you said, you have a different understanding of yourself, and that's what is, or a different lens, at least to look at, you know, and to look at the world with, and that is powerful in itself. You can, I feel like you can take over the world like that, you know, do whatever you want to do. Just by having knowledge of yourself, you have something to offer people. So that's so powerful, bro.
Heaven, yeah.
Yeah, like that. Yes, sir. Nice. All right. So I got let's go. Well, no, I do want to ask this question. So I got two more questions. How do you create your content, bro? Like, what's the apps that you use? Because man, I need something from myself. Hopefully, somebody else can get value from it. But I'm being selfish on this question. How do you? Or what apps in particular, or what's your creative process?
Yeah, so I edit my YouTube videos just on iMovie. A lot of my content and how I make different things, like I take a quote from my Twitter and then I make a daily post with that. I use InShot. InShot is a great app for just editing on your phone.
I have that.
Yeah.
I gotta use it.
It's just about learning it and like being able to use it at times.
Sure.
PixArt is another one which helps for like being able to just crop things and be able to you know, add different elements there. So I use those two for my phone in general, and I do use another one for just specifically, you know, certain videos. They have this like bar, like this line. That goes across it.
I love that, bro. Which one is that?
I think it only adds this app. It's called Video Next, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna start to see that on my page eventually.
Yeah, I think it's called Video Next. Yeah, Video Next something.
Nice.
Video Next -P something. Yeah. Cool. So there's that, and also I use this one app which is great for captions.
Okay.
It's called Mix Captions, and you can actually get the paid version. It's really cheap for like, you know, you get a bunch of credits on there, and then you can just have the captions below it, you know, as you're talking. So it automatically creates captions. You don't have to add them in or anything.
Nice.
Just, you have to edit sometimes. It's not fully accurate, but it works really well, man. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Hell yeah. I appreciate that, man. Absolutely. Yeah, that's huge. That's the one thing that I think I've been missing when it comes to creating content is the presentation. And like I said, I see yours, and it inspires me every single time I see it. I'm like, man, I gotta step the game up, man. Scripts out here killing it. You know, so that's what's up, man. Hell yeah. Last question, brother. What have you learned about yourself in this year, 2020, that you'll live with for the rest of your life? What have you learned about yourself?
Man, the biggest two things I would say, one is self-control. Self-control is huge for me. You know, especially because I love to challenge myself and do different things. Like, for instance, fasting. I went like 30 days off of pornography, you know, just like random, you know, experiments with myself to try and push my edge and train my mind better, you know.
Nice.
And so 2020 was, because we were all indoors in this lockdown, you know, I've reframed it almost as like, this is our battlefield now. It's like, you know, this is our military training camp, boot camp, right? So it's about looking at this as a place where we can have that freedom to really express ourselves and be able to build that character, like you said. And yeah, there's self-control, and then patience, man. Patience is another one. It's like really been able to take this time to be able to let go and allow things to be, rather than try and force myself to do something. And that, you know, ties into my brand too, a little bit, like, you know, non-resistance in a sense, right? And being able to let it be and let it grow. And also, you know, I feel that patience for men specifically, when women see that, that's a huge DHV, because that patience demonstrates that you have survival value. Like, you're not rushing for anything, because you have a stability in yourself, right? So it's a big DHV spike, I feel. And it's really powerful, man. Those two would probably be the topmost.
Nice.
Yeah.
Self-control and patience. Hell yeah. Yeah. That's something that we can all take from, man. That's huge. Well, brother, it's been a pleasure, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's been a pleasure having you on, man. Honestly, it's you know, every single time I get on, I look forward to connecting with my brother, or, you know, whoever it is I have on the opposite side, man. And man, it's been a pleasure. Let's continue to tap in, bro. You know, this don't have to be the end, you know.
Yeah, brother.
Is there, but go ahead, my bad.
No, that, I mean, yeah, go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say,
you're just about to ask. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, is there any my bad. Where can people find you at? You know, on Instagram, like you said, you have a YouTube channel, and then your own program. Where can people find you at?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Flowzone Academy, or my rap Instagram is at the Scripts Dimension. That's SKRIPTZ Dimension, and Flowzone is spelled FLOZONE Academy. And those are my top platforms. I do have a website that's still under construction, but you can find it on flowzoneacademy.com/home for right now, but it's going to be .com eventually. And also, my YouTube is called Flow State Activation.
Nice.
And if you can just, type that into YouTube. I post daily videos, so you'll get a lot of content on there. And also my book, TPM, Theatroplasticity Method, is out on Amazon. I have the copy right here. This is the cover. Check it out. It's all about using the power of theater to transform your lifestyle.
Nice. Hell yeah. You said it's on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
All right, so say less, brother. I'm gonna go ahead and make that purchase right now when we get off.
Appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate you being on, man. Absolutely. For anybody watching this after the fact, you can find this episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. Brother, it's been a pleasure having you on. Looking forward to having you on again. Thank you for coming in, and you are now part of the Cellf Code Collective, brother. Once again, it was a pleasure. So salute.
Salute, man. I'm honored. Os, and may the flow be with you.
May the flow be with you. Thank you, brother. Salute.